Welcome, guys. This is Glasgow Rangers Nation. I'm Owen James, and this is your latest Rangers news. Look, I wish I was sat here this morning bringing you good news, bringing you the news that Russell Martin has been sacked as manager. But unfortunately, I'm not bringing you that news. The ego continues in the dugout for now. He has to go. I mean, look, there is literally no argument for the man staying at all. He genuinely has lost the fans. There may be a minority of happy clappers who want to see him stay. There may be a minority of those who, say that you can't keep sacking managers, but you can. You can if you get the wrong one. You can if you've got someone who is absolutely useless and absolutely hopeless at their job. You don't keep someone in a job just because you may have sacked the person before them. And yes, it is pretty shit that we're going to end up hopefully sacking this absolute fraud very, very soon. But at time of recording, he is still in a job. And it beggars belief that someone who is as bad as him at his job has still managed to keep his job. I genuinely, look, before we kind of break down what happened yesterday and break down a little bit about this whole situation and, look at the team, look at what went on, look at the Raskan situation and all that, I look back at this man's, I did say once on a previous video that a mate of mine once said to me that, Owen, there's no CVs in football. And I kind of laughed at that. And then I kind of now really understand what he was saying. There's no CVs in football because, when you apply for a job, and you present your CV, don't you, to the company that you want to work for. And if that company determines that your CV is good enough and you have something in your CV that is attractive to them, and you've got good references from the people you've worked for, that you tend to get an interview and you tend to get a chance to get that job. In football, it doesn't seem to matter how bad you've been in previous jobs or how shockingly bad you've done. You get the job. People, like I said to you, I said previously, Thelwell said that Russell Martin was the outstanding candidate, which kind of asks a question: who the hell did they interview? Did they interview, I don't know, Mr. Tumble, Coco the Clown, the tramp who sits on the corner of Sauchiehall Street, Keir Starmer, Angela Rayner, another David Lammy, another incompetent morons? Is that who they interviewed for this job? Because if he was the outstanding candidate, you've got to question how bad the others were. Now, like I said to you, there's no CVs in football. Well, if you look back at Russell Martin's football CV, just raw statistics of his football CV. Milton Keynes Dons. Now, I had somebody comment earlier that he did a good job at Milton Keynes Dons. No, he didn't. He took over a team that got in the playoffs and finished 10th and then finished lower down the league than that. So how does that doing a good job? Altogether with Milton Keynes Dons, he had 80 games with them. He won 30 and lost 31. He lost more than he won. He drew 19. His team scored 107 goals, but they let in 105 goals. And he had a 37.5% win percentage. He then went to Swansea City, where he managed them for 99 games. He had 36 wins, 36 losses, 50-50, but 27 draws. He had also a negative 4 goal difference. His team shipped 143 goals. He had a 36.3% win percentage. He then went to Southampton, where he managed them for 73 games. He won 33 of them. He lost 26 of them. He drew 14 of them. So again, more negative results than positive results. Scored 120, shipped 113, plus 7 goal difference, 45.2% win ratio. Overall career win percentage is 38.6%, which is actually worse than Barry Ferguson's. His teams have scored 381 goals but shipped 380 goals. That is a lot of goals to ship in a managerial career. He's also won 102 games but lost 97, so the difference between those is not absolutely massive. Just for a little bit of context on that, in terms of win percentages, in terms of goal difference percentages, etc. If we just for a minute contrast that of the guy he took on today, Derek McInnes. Derek McInnes has a 45.6% win percentage, which is still better than his. Obviously, it is slightly ruined by his time at Bristol City, where he spectacularly failed. But his win percentage at Aberdeen was 53.4. Hearts, it's currently 80%. He had a 40% at St Johnstone, a 38.36 at Kilmarnock, which was ruined, of course, by the second season syndrome there, but still did a fairly good job at a lower team. Even if we kind of contrast with that a little bit, in terms of Barry Ferguson, a man who, look, I'm not advocating for a minute that Barry Ferguson should be Rangers manager. That is not something that I've advocated. But if we look at raw statistics on this, Barry Ferguson's wins percentage is 42.8%, which is better than Russell Martin's. So like I said to you, there's nothing in his footballing CV that indicates that this man will ever get this right. There's nothing in his footballing CV that indicates that he will get teams to defend in a good way, because his defensive record across all his teams is pretty poor. Now, look, one thing I've always said was that, yes, this is a rebuild, and yes, things could go wrong. And yes, it may not be that Rangers start by winning every single game. That is a strong possibility, always a strong possibility going into this season. But if you look at how the table looks at this moment in time, Celtic have a game in hand on us. We are 6 points behind them, 9 points behind Hearts, who are top. But we actually sit 10th. We actually are closer to bottom of the table than we are to top of the table. We have played 5. We've won not a single game yet domestically. 4 draws, 1 defeat. We haven't won a game domestically in 5 games, which is absolutely appalling. The only game we've won domestically was against Alloa. Just let that sink in for a minute. Rangers FC, the biggest team in Scotland, a team that competes in Europe, a team that is most successful team in football, which it is, because we don't count our war trophies, we don't cheat. The only team we've beaten in domestic football is Alloa. Just let that sink in for a minute. Now, if I said to you at the start of the season, you'll get to this point and the only game we're going to win is the Alloa game, you'd have thought I was mental. You would have thought I was mad. But it's the truth. Now, the one thing I've said is, yes, it may be that we don't win every game. Fine. We win some, we lose some, we draw some. Start of the season. That can happen when you're betting in a new manager, you're betting in a new squad, you're betting in new players. But the one thing that I think everybody, and trying to be a bit more kind of reasoned, and I don't want to come on and rant and rave this morning and yell and share and swear. But the one thing we've always said is that if you can see progress there, if you can see a team moving forward, making progress, getting better week on week on week, you can make a argument to give the manager time. You can make that argument. And, people always give the Ange Postecoglou example at Celtic. When he came in, they weren't great, but one thing I think you did see with them is they made progress week on week. They got better, and eventually, obviously, then win the league. It's the same with a lot of new managers. You see the bedding in period that perhaps isn't great. And then you see it improve week on week on week until they get to a point where you see, yeah, they're successful. They've made the right choice. They've made a great appointment there. But I'm going to say this to you. This team's getting worse. It genuinely is getting worse. It looks like 11 strangers. It looks like 11 men who don't know what a football is. It looks like 11 men who don't genuinely know what they're supposed to be doing out there. It looks like they genuinely haven't got a clue how he wants them to play, where he wants them to play, what he wants them to do with the ball once they've got it. And just clueless. It is genuinely clueless. There is no shape. There is no style. There is no... And this is the big thing everyone talks about. Russell Martin's style. Russell Martin's way of playing. Russell Martin's Pep, pupil. He's a pupil of Pep. He's a student of Guardiola. He's not. No, he's not. I mean, he's a pupil or a student of Le Guen, but he's making Paul Le Guen look it was a decent hire. He's actually making Pedro Caíña and Mark Warburton look like Jose Mourinho and Sir Alex Ferguson. He's that bad. It is that bad. And it's getting worse week on week on week on week. It is dire. The football is dire. The way we play is dire. That first half against Hearts was absolutely appalling. It was genuinely, shockingly bad. And look, before anyone goes off on me being bitter, whatever, let me just say this. Well done, Hearts. You deserve the victory. Perhaps Tony Bloom was right. Perhaps Hearts do break the monopoly this season of Rangers and Celtic. And full respect to Derek McInnes, full respect to Lawrence Shankland, wish we'd signed him. Full respect to Tony Bloom. Great job, boys. You deserve to win today. Hearts fans, well done. Absolutely fantastic. Well done, guys. You deserved your victory today. You played well. You got what you deserved today. Well done. You should be proud of your team, proud of the way you played. But look, I mean, let's start by looking at the team. I mean, look at the team. I mean, let's start with that picture on the right-hand side of the screen or the left-hand side of the screen, whichever side you're looking at, if it's flipped reversed. Our two best midfielders sat in the stands. Nico Raskan, our best midfielder, not deemed as having the trust of his teammates, not deemed as able to play by this arrogant, out of touch, out of depth clown of a manager. I mean, genuinely, that picture there is just pathetic. It is just ridiculous that player is sat in the stands and that moron is still on the sideline. And what gets me is, I shall get to that. But, you look at the team that he named, it's the same team that started against Celtic. It's the same team we played against Celtic. It's the same team that created nothing against Celtic. It's the same team that in 90, 100 minutes, however long we end up playing against Celtic in that Old Firm game, did not create one chance on goal. Nothing. Zero creativity. Zip. Nothing. And he names the same team. He honestly names the same team. He will not change. He will not adapt. He will not move forward. He is stubborn. He's intransigent. He's arrogant. He's a narcissist. He's a vegan wanker. But, he genuinely hasn't got a clue. And look, I mean, you can look through that team, and the only players that really, for me, got pass marks today, and it's hard to give anybody pass marks after that. I thought Jack Butland did well in goal. Not to blame for either of the goals, saved the penalty. Unlucky, obviously, on the rebound. I'd give him a 6 or a 7 out of 10. I'd say Gassama, again, did well, tried hard, did all right. Gassama gets a pass mark. I thought Asgard did all right today. I thought Asgard was decent today. I thought Tavernier was absolutely fucking shocking. Yet again, let the team down. Absolutely awful. His loose pass led to the Hearts goal. Giga looks shot to confidence. Suter looks shot to confidence. Makoma looks like a rabbit caught in the headlights. Barron was poor yesterday. Diamonde was awful yet again domestically. He just goes missing in domestic games, apart from the Old Firm game. Gassama decent. Mikey Moore, look, look. No disrespect to the lad. He is clearly a very talented footballer, but he shouldn't be playing. And I don't care what the contract says. I don't care what percentage of games he's got to play. We should not be developing other people's players when they look that badly out of depth. He did look just lost today. Lost. Miovski, I want to talk about Miovski in a moment. As for the subs actually made it worse. There was a point in the second half when we were getting a bit of a foothold in the game, and he changed the formation, went 3-4-3, 3-5-2. Not really sure what he did, but he brought on Yusuf Chimiti, and we actually looked worse. We actually then lost all the impetus. His changes actually made the team worse, and that's a sign of bad management. If as a manager you can't, through your changes, through your in-game management, improve it for your team, that's a sign that you really haven't got a clue what you're doing. Genuinely poor. Finley Curtis on the bench again, should be starting for me. Shows heart, shows bottle, shows fight. Now, the one thing I'm going to say is I'm not going to criticise this man at all today, Bojan Miovski. I don't get what the point of Bojan Miovski is when we don't give him the ball. We don't create chances for him. We don't give him balls in behind. We don't give him anything. We feed him scraps and he doesn't do anything because he needs service. You could stick You could stick Erling Haaland up front in that Rangers team. You could stick Alexander Isak up front in that Rangers team, and neither of them would score goals. And they'd both look lost, and they'd both look poor. You know, to be honest with you, you could actually play Isak and Haaland up front together in this Rangers team, the two best strikers in world football, and they'd look bad because nothing gets created for them. And Miovski looked lost today. He did. And that's not his fault. That's the manager's fault. That's the manager's fault for the way he coaches this team, for the way he prepares this team, for the way he gets this team ready. Because he doesn't do a good job. And he can talk all he wants about, in training we see this, in training we see that. But with the best will in the world, training is not a competitive match. Training can never be to the level of a competitive match. And being able to do it in training doesn't mean you're going to do it competitively. You know, I've seen players, look, yes, not to the same high standard, not to the same level, but I've coached football. And I've seen some players in training look absolutely amazing. But then come match day, look shocking. And he talks about the fact it's not tactical, it's psychological. No, it isn't. No, it isn't. Because these players do it some of these players do it for their countries. They do it for their countries. They play well for their countries. Suter plays well for Scotland. Delo Asgard plays well for Norway. Miovski plays well for North Macedonia. Antman plays well for Finland. You know, Meg Homer plays well for the England under-21s. Cornelius plays well for Canada. So it's not the players, it's the tactics. It's the way they've been asked to play, the way that he's inspiring them to play. So to sit there and say it's psychological is just bullshit. It's just plain bullshit. It's rubbish. It's trying to find excuses for your own ineptitude. It's trying to find excuses for your own shortcomings. Your inability to put a team out on the field who know what they're doing, who know how to play, who know the way to take a team on, who know how to adapt to certain situations. That's down to you as a manager. That's not down to the players. That's down to you as a manager. And he's failing spectacularly on all levels. Now, the fans today made it absolutely clear how they feel about this man. And respect to Stevie Clifford of Four Lads, respect to you, Stevie, respect to David Edgar, who pushed it in the news conference and said, look, basically, the fans don't want you here. You need to go. You need to get out now. And he says that he's never walked away from anything. He's not going to resign. Realistically, he's again showing that he is what he is. He's arrogant. He's out of touch. He's a narcissist. He's just clueless in what he's doing. The board have to act. If this egocentric clown, this egocentric fraud who thinks he is the greatest thing since sliced bread, but is about as much use as windscreen wipers on a submarine, is about as much use as a pork pie at a Muslim wedding. He is zero use to anybody. If he will not do the honourable thing, when he's not wanted by anybody, when he is genuinely hated by the vast majority of Rangers fans, which is, he should know by now what we want him to do, which is to fuck off, to get lost, to go somewhere else on a one-way ticket, to anywhere that isn't Glasgow. Now, if he won't act and he won't do what he needs to do, which is to get out of our football club, then the board need to act. And I speak of Kevin Thelwell and I speak of Patrick Stewart in this. Now, if Patrick Stewart and Kevin Thelwell do not see what we are seeing as fans, as analysts, and I'm not talking about myself as an analyst, I'm talking about the likes of Chris Boyd, I'm talking about the likes of Chris Sutton, yes, he is a tube, James McFadden, people like that, people who watch this team and can see and say the same things. Rangers look clueless, Rangers look rudderless, Rangers look hopeless, Rangers don't know what they're doing, this is awful, this is terrible. Now, if Patrick Stewart and Kevin Thelwell cannot see that, genuinely cannot see that, then the question has to be asked, are they fit to do their job? are they, in a position where they actually know what they're doing? Now, I've contended, and I've had an awful lot of criticism for this. I've been slagged off by other podcasts for saying this, including little ones that get full of their own self-importance, who are full of their own gallant importance, or are I ready to go on this? But Patrick Stewart is dreadful at his job. He is dreadful at his job. He is one of the worst CEOs in this club's history. He hates the fans. We know that he hates the fans. Okay, he hates the fans because he backs everyone else apart from the fans at every opportunity he can. People talk about, when he came from Manchester United. Yes, one of the worst run clubs in English football. Look at the way in the last 12, I don't know how many years it is, I don't really care. Since Sir Alex Ferguson left, that club has gone south at such a rapid rate of knots. It has been run by incompetence, one of which was Patrick Stewart. Yet we think we're getting a man from Manchester United, he must be good at his job because he worked for Manchester United. Like I said, one of the worst run clubs in England. A club that spent over £1 billion and has actually got worse for spending that money. So, that's not a glowing CV. Again, there's no CVs in football. Patrick Stewart and Kevin Thelwell have to show a pair of balls. They have to grow up a little bit. They have to go out there and they have to sack this manager. Because if they don't go out there and do the right thing, which is to sack this manager today, Monday, whenever it is, then they sentence this club to finishing, I think, 4th, 5th, 6th maybe this season. At very best, if we're lucky. This is not a team, and I mean in terms of the way we've been managed and coached at the moment, that will finish top 4. Celtic will win the league. Hearts will finish 2nd. Hibs will finish 3rd. We might get 4th or 5th because everyone else is really shit in this league. And that's the only thing that gets us that 4th or 5th place. And Russell Martin will probably sell it as a success, or try to, because he's that arrogant. The man needs to go. The man must go. And I'd love to know if anyone's still backing him and why they're backing him. Because, you know what? If you're still backing him, I'd love to sit and watch the 5 games with you and you show me where there are positive signs of encouragement in those 5 games for this manager and for you as a fan. Because to me, there is nothing positive about what this man is doing to our football club. He's alienated one of our best players. He can't adapt. He can't change. He has no plan B. He won't change his team. He genuinely is one of the worst. I mean, like I said to you, he makes Paul Le Guen, Pedro Caixinha, Mark Warburton look like Sir Alex Ferguson, Arsene Wenger and Jose Mourinho. He really does. He makes Paul Le Guen look like prime Sir Alex. He's that bad. He is that bad. And it doesn't get any easier. Does not get any easier over the next couple of weeks. I mean, if you look at what's coming up for us over the next couple of weeks, our next game is Hibs in the League Cup quarter-final, a game we could quite easily lose before we have Genk at home. And Genk are literally no mugs. We've then got Livy away. Now, if he's still in a job by the time we get to Livy away, I'd worry. I'd genuinely worry about the future of this team. Genuinely would. Because I don't think they've got a future under this manager. Now, what irritates me is, to be honest with you, the team as a whole, the squad as a whole, I don't think is that bad. I actually think this squad is capable of doing very well this season with the right manager, with the right coach. Now, look, I'm going to mention a name here, and this is going to cause a few arguments. This is going to cause a few discussions. This is going to cause people to fall out with each other. This is going to cause people to argue. But if you gave that squad to Steven Gerrard, we'd win the league. We would win the league. If you gave that squad to Steven Gerrard, we would win the league. Okay? These players are not that bad. Look at their international form. Look at how they play for their countries. They aren't that bad. Genuinely not. That squad, to me, would win this league with Steven Gerrard as manager because he'd have standards. He'd put in place a system that we know works because we've seen that it works previously. He'd have them fighting for each other, working for each other. He knows how to beat Celtic. He knows how to win in this league. I personally, if I was Rangers CEO today, I would ring Russell Martin, call him into my office, say, right, sorry, Russell, it hasn't worked. You're sacked. Then I'd get on the phone to Steven Gerrard and offer him a 12-month rolling contract to come to the club and sort it out. Let him bring his own backroom team. Let him bring whoever he wants as his backroom staff. I don't care. But let him bring his backroom staff. Honestly think that if you bring Steven Gerrard to this team, you give him that squad is good enough to win the league under Steven Gerrard. There's enough talent in that squad with the likes of Miovski, Raskan, Asgard, Gassama, Suter, Cornelius, Butland. There's enough talent in that squad. Yes, I think there's a few places that need to be added to. Left back, I think we do need a left back. I think we need a right back. But there's enough talent in that squad to win the league this season, I think, with Steven Gerrard as manager. With Russell Martin, there's probably enough time to stop us getting relegated, and that's about it. But this is not good enough, and this needs to change, and it needs to change now, because if it doesn't, we are in big, big trouble under this manager, and he's got to be sacked either today or Monday. And if Kevin Thelwell and Kevin Thelwell and Patrick Stewart don't act today or Monday, they need to go as well. They've got to go as well, because they are unfit for purpose. They are not fit to do their jobs. They are clueless. Now, guys, I'd love to know your thoughts, your opinions on the situation as it stands at the moment. Where are you at with this? Question 1. Does Martin need to go? And does he need to go now? If he doesn't, let me know why, and why you still back him. Number 2, what do you think about the squad strength? Is it good enough to compete this season? 3, who would you have as next manager? Who would you take as the next Rangers manager? Are you like me and would take Steven Gerrard? Or is there someone else that you'd like to see us go for? Derek McInnes, for example, doing a brilliant job at Hearts. Kevin Muscat, Marco Rosa, someone like that. Let me know. Let me know what you think. Drop me a comment. Let me know. Nuno Espirito Santo, who's out of work at the moment. But look, there's plenty of people out there. But look, guys, let me know what you think. Look, it's not great. Things are bad. And look, people talk about you've been negative. But find me something to be positive about. Please, tell me something to be positive about this team. Please, I'd love to know what is positive about this, because this club is going nowhere under this manager, other than down, south, and not in a good way. Let me know. Anyway, guys, if you've enjoyed the content, please like, comment, share, and subscribe. Reminder, we don't charge you for any content. We don't hide stuff behind paywalls. We don't say you've got to pay a certain level of certain to get to a certain level of whatever. If you do want to become a member, 99p. If you do want to donate, super thanks. Donate a bit of cash. Help the channel to grow. You know, we are struggling at the moment. Thank you for watching. It's been a pleasure speaking to you. As always, guys, please like, comment, share, and subscribe on the way out. And look, I'll catch you on the next one.